Welcome back to the Sex and Love Labcast. This week on the podcast, I'm dating someone. Uh, I'm going to share some details with you guys. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Sex and Love Labcast. It's been quite a while. Not much has changed. My hair has grown. You can kind of tell. When I straightened it today, I was like, dang, should I cut it again? I've been keeping it kind of short, somewhere like in there. Good hair day, though. It did. I got straightened my hair because I didn't think that it was going to rain the rest of the day, even though it rained this morning. And then I was on a date tonight, and as we were leaving, it had started drizzling. I played in the rain anyways, and then I just straightened my hair again when I go home, so that I could come and talk to you, beautiful people. I'm dating somebody, and the last time that I posted a video, it was December 3rd. And I was talking about should I quit? I was talking about the difficulties in dating and, being somebody who is online sharing those details with the world. I had in the past only been looking for friends with benefits. And so I didn't care. I didn't mind sharing personal details about these people because they weren't permanent fixtures in my life. Um, they weren't shared on, my social media in any way, and it wasn't going to affect them. And so I'm going to call him Mister. I am going to keep his identity private as long as humanly possible. I So Mister and I had only known each other a week and a half when I made that podcast, but I knew that it wasn't going to be just a small thing. I knew. If you're watching, I knew. I don't know if he's watching or not. I don't think he's watched any of my podcasts, which I'm okay with. Um, but we've had conversations. I've had a few conversations recently about this and about my fear of how to handle my podcast moving forward, dating someone. I respect him and care about him, and I don't want anything that I say about him in any manner to affect him in any way. Um, and so I do have to be careful. And so I do appreciate and thank you in advance for not being nosy. Okay. I appreciate your patience as I learn to navigate how I am going to not change things, but how I am going to format things just a little bit differently sometimes. Now, not every episode is going to even have his name in it. So, a, we've talked about it, and to me, it feels like a big deal. Um, and I don't think it's as big of a deal as I'm thinking, but there is a reason I feel that way. And it's a Netflix TV show. I'll have to tell you guys about that at some point. Um, so Oh my gosh, I forgot this was supposed to be a high and horny, and I am not high in the least. One second. I'm back. And I believe I'm sufficiently elevated. Also, if the camera's moved, I'm sorry, but I started recording Snapchat videos. It was elevation. I can't lie to you. So I'm also gonna be honest, I don't necessarily remember where I left off. I only could talk to Lauren from about 20 minutes ago. I did take enough time to let things settle in. I mean, I know I was talking about dating, right? I don't remember where I left off, but what I was saying is that I knew early on that I liked him enough that I needed to decide how I was going to handle this. It was like an instantaneous thing. And when I say instantaneous, I am not kidding. And guys, I was not looking for somebody. I was not. I was just trying to find friends with benefits. That was it. And so it was the Sunday night before Thanksgiving. I was at home in Mississippi, and I was on Facebook dating, and I was swiping, and I thought that I'd swiped on him first, but he says he definitely swiped on me first. And but I do know like that when I saw his profile, like there are some things in there that made me pause. One, he does live 2 hours away, and two, he did say he was recently divorced, and I was like, but he was so handsome, and like there was just something in his eyes. Like I couldn't help myself. I had to swipe, and I was like, man, there's no way this guy's not a douchebag. Like he's that handsome. He also is only 3 years younger than me, which is I usually prefer like younger, like early 30s. And so like there was just these several things that I normally wouldn't have swiped on, and I had to. And he messaged me for the first time. I don't remember exactly when I was swiping. It had to have been like that night, but he messaged me at 11:36 p.m. that Sunday night, and we talked for the next like 5 hours through text. And I usually will take like at least a few days to jump from the dating portion of Facebook to giving someone my profile, right? It's just who I am. And then it usually takes even longer to have my phone number. I've got a graveyard of numbers and names that I don't even remember. And so I'm just choosy. But within like the first 3 messages, I had given him my profile so he could message me on Messenger. I wanted to show him my shirt. Camera, don't mess with me. I wanted to show him the shirt that I was wearing, and you can't share photos through Facebook dating. Thank God. I'm sorry. I have the sniffles. I know I just paused for the other, but I really need to blow my nose, and I'm really sorry about it. But I don't want to do that to you guys. So hang on. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Um, so yeah, we jumped to Messenger pretty quickly, and I immediately tried to like, stalk his profile, and there's like no pictures. Like his profile is very locked down. And later found out he said like if you're friends with him, you can see a lot more stuff. But I wasn't, his friend on Facebook. And then like my profile is so open. Like there are some albums that are privated to only me. But like the rest of most of my life is just on blast. And that's, that's how it's always been. So, but it was just like everything he said, like it got better and better and better. And I'm like, is this real? Am I having a dream? Um, he has so many of the qualities that like I randomly like that I can't find in one person. And it's like he's a very strange amalgamation of things. Like when you start naming off all the things that he is, that he enjoys, that he likes, characteristics, it's like, is this a real person? But I know people that know him, so I know he's a real person. It was just wild. And he kind of said the same thing about me. He's like everything you said, like he uses it. He said, you just kept getting hotter and hotter. And I'm like, ugh, whatever. He's like, oh my God, no, I'm serious. He's like, you just kept saying things. He's like, you're already so pretty and you're smart and you have all these things. And then you kept saying these things and you just kept getting hotter. And that's how I felt too. Like it was just this instantaneous thing that like I felt so connected to this person. And so um I had struggled with that last episode because I knew that I had to figure out what I was going to do. And so I took December to figure that out. We had a couple of dates. We met halfway, a little, not quite halfway. And then one time for our first date, and it was really sweet. And like he put a lot of thought into where the date was. He was going to let me choose the restaurant, and I'm like, bro, I ain't about choosing restaurant life. So he picked a few, and I chose one. And but the reason he chose this place, this town to meet in, like he actually had to drive further than I did, and he said that it was just like their downtown. is super, super pretty at Christmas. And he's like, how could I not? It'll be so romantic. And I was like, a person is putting that much thought into a first date with me? That was weird. Like good weird, right? But I've never really experienced that. Like I met my husband's online playing World of Warcraft, right? So there was not a dating process. We just were together. And so now I'm doing this dating process and it's so weird because he's actually like he's put an effort. He's, we were talking last weekend and he's like, I understand that, the things I do kind of make me the gold standard. And that's sad. Um, because it is what probably should just be, bare minimum for most people. But our first date went really well. Camera, don't you? Thank you. Our first date went really well. We had a good time. We sat and talked for forever. And then he came here to Pensacola for our second date. And we went to see Wicked and we went to dinner with my roommate and one of my best girlfriends here. And then I went and stayed with him the last couple weekends. And that was really fun to get to like be there with him for longer than just a few hours. And so then tonight we met halfway again and we had dinner and we sat and talked for a while and it was nice. We talked at dinner about the podcast actually. We've had a few conversations and um, one thing he is like super open for is communication. And so when I realized that I needed to have this discussion with him, he was all for it, which is really, really great. But we talked about things and you know, in the big I'm sorry, I've got a you can't see you can't see what's down here. I've got a little notebook with just some notes in it about about this and my ADHD and my elevation is causing me to look at that instead of you. And I'm sorry about that. You know what? Just close it up. We're going off script. I've already talked way more about him than I thought I was going to anyway. Also, so many bodily functions are happening in this episode. I need to sneeze. It's got to go away though. I refuse to pause the video again. Everything's fine. So anyway, we're talking about the podcast and what he is okay with me sharing and what he's not, because I really want to make sure that I am not oversharing. I want to be respectful, which not that that's a new feeling for me, but in the context of another person, yeah, because like I said, with the friends with benefits, like nobody was ever going to know them, right? So I can share about them. In fact, there's some of them I would rather nobody knew about. I'm looking at you. You don't know who I'm talking about. I've talked about him, I think, in the podcast before. He was the early summer friends with benefits that was lasted a week and a half. Anyway, um, yeah. So I just knew that I wanted to approach things differently than I would have in the past. And so we had a conversation about it. The reason actually that I did this is I went ahead and wrote down some show topics for like the next month and showed them to him just so that he would know places that he would be mentioned and so that he can kind of have a heads up and I can if I decide I'm going to talk about anything specific regarding him, then I will talk to him. Because there are some people who will know who it is. Most people will not. I'm not going to tell you. Thanks. So anyway, he's very supportive of what I do, which I think is cool. Even like a few weeks ago, I was just talking about how like my job is not normal, right? And it's all parts of what I do currently. Like I have the coaching aspect, I've got the podcasting aspect, and I've got which are about sex and love and intimacy, which I hang on, don't let me get off track. And then I work in the adult store, right? And he's like, well, I actually just you work in retail, you have a podcast, you are a coach, so I don't see your job as abnormal. It's just which the content is on the outer fringe of what is normal, which is super fucking validating. Like he's really validating in some things, in some areas. Um, and I was like, well, yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. Um, but explaining that to people is the hard part, you know. Um, so he's supportive of it. I'm just worried about what everybody else, would think, or how they would feel, which his response actually was, it doesn't matter how they feel. I'm fine. So healthy. So I decided to move forward. And here I am. Now, I will tell you that I did not intend to talk about him and our relationship this entire time. So I'm not. But I could, especially because we're in elevation station. I get really sappy when I'm elevated. So now I do have to go back into my book, which, by the way, this was a gift from my secret Santa at work, who turned out to be AJ. I love AJ. I got him too, and he has a t-shirt coming. It was a little late. All right, so these are my notes. Stop it, camera. This camera's asking for it today. So just because of where I'm at, I thought, why don't I discuss, you know, dating in labels? But I need to just really quickly just I don't think where's a little bit? My pen's dying. Um what is dating? What even is dating? What is dating? So we're gonna go to Google and we're gonna ask Google what Google thinks. I'm gonna go to Google Gemini actually. Google and Gemini. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Gemini has its own app. I forgot. Oh, and it says hello, Lauren. What is dating?
Dating is a stage of romantic relationships where two people regularly engage in activities together, often with the intention of evaluating their compatibility as partners in a future intimate relationship. Here are some key aspects of dating: exploration.
Okay, thank you. Come back. I know I put the phone there and it's my fault. Anyway, so you heard what Gemini said. Hopefully, I'm going to reread it for you here in case you didn't. Dating is a stage of romantic relationships where two people regularly engage in activities together, often with the intention of evaluating their compatibility as partners in a future intimate relationship. And it goes on to give some key aspects of dating: exploration, no obligation, can be casual or serious, individual experiences vary. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Now, so Mr. and I don't have a label, which I'm totally fine with. Um, I have forgot to press the button there. I have a timer so that I don't talk too much. But each time that I've had to pause it, I've forgotten to start it again. And so I don't really, gosh, freaking camera. I don't really know how long I've been talking. Mm. Um, yeah, we don't have a label. Like we're talking about, we just say we're dating or like he said something about, seeing each other. You're, well, he got a sunburn last week and said something about now you're seeing a redneck. Mm. So seeing each other, dating each other. Um, so I'm curious. I don't want Gemini to talk you know what? Can you mute him?
Dating is a stage of
No, stop
romantic
it.
relationships.
I don't need you to read it and I don't want you to talk to me. How long do you have to date before you become boyfriend and girlfriend? Don't read it out loud. Oh, you almost did it. There's no set rule for how long you should date before becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. It really depends on the individuals involved and how they feel. Now, I will tell you, oh, look, it says generally it often takes a few weeks or months for couples to become boyfriend and girlfriend. But now, hang on, this just says for couples to become boyfriend and girlfriend. So, can you be a couple without being a boyfriend and girlfriend? I don't know. Something else said a month. What do you guys think? Like, what do you do? How long do you usually wait to you say somebody's your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner? He uses the term partner. I don't know. I've never done this way. It's weird. But like we have talked about the fact that like, early on I was like, okay, I'm pausing my dating profile and um we have both mentioned that, like I told him, I was like, I'm not interested in anybody else. And he's told me that. And like tonight, I said something about this is definitely something, I feel I'm or I don't remember exactly what I said, but I indicated that it was something I was looking to be long term. And he agreed. But we don't have those labels yet. Like, does that bother you guys? Like, if you don't have labels, I feel like I don't need the label. I think it would make things easier. I do have people that'll be like, "Oh, your boyfriend," and I'm like, "No, he's not my boyfriend." Um, but like, there's a toothbrush at his house, and then people are like, "Well, that's definitely your boyfriend," and I'm like, "He's not my boyfriend. We're dating because I don't think he's my boyfriend." I don't know. I don't know. I I don't know. What's gonna be funny? I told him that I was gonna talk about this, so he already knows. But I still like, I told him to like, I don't know what I'm going to say on my podcast. I will sometimes write out the bones like this and then just go off of that. But like, it's not, it just, stuff just comes out. And he's a really good read of people. Like, he's very empathetic. He's an empath. And I'm high. I'm doomed. If you're watching this, oh, I've talked so sweet about you. Um, Anyway, so I don't necessarily need labels. I do think it would make things easier just as a frame of reference to who he is to me. But like I think that we are both just for each other. It's like I am okay. But some people are really big on that. Are you? Not me. Not me. Let's see. I'm looking at my list to see what I want to talk about. Oh, dating traditionally versus past relationships. Yeah, I kind of mentioned that. Um, Even my last boyfriend I met on Tinder, but like we were we just fell into a relationship. It just like fell right into it. I'm pretty sure it was like within the first 3 days that I told him I loved him on the phone. It was an accident. I did, but it was an accident. And yeah, so like the process of actually going on dates and going on dates with somebody who is thoughtful about the dates is really wild. Um, I am prone to not wanting anyone to do anything nice for me, including paying for me. And I told him this on the first date that or before it, and I said I would really like to pay for my dinner. And um, he said, if that's something that you really feel like you want to do, I will respect that, but I really would like to pay for your meal. And letting people do things for you like that is a vulnerability that I am not used to and I do not like. But we came to a compromise. He paid for the meal and I tipped. And he was fine with that. But yeah, like it's just things like that. And so he's just so thoughtful and it's just new. Like even having to wonder at what point he is a different label is new for me. Like and not in a bad way. It's exciting. Like it's exciting to finally get this experience as a 42-year-old. I didn't date in high school. I didn't date in college. Like I was very, very shy. I didn't talk to people. I wouldn't have believed somebody wanted to date me if they had waved a flag in my face that said so, So this is all very brand new. And it's been very wonderful. I take a picture every time we get to see each other. And I love looking back at them and having those memories of those moments and being able to say, okay, well, this one was this place and this one was that place. So it's really fun. Um, it also comes with, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but just dating him versus dating versus past relationships, there is some trauma, right? Especially from my ex-husband. And he has been very, very compassionate and very kind about my trauma triggers. My ex-husband at one point like used communication as a punishment. Um, and so I do sometimes get nervous when I don't hear from somebody for a while. And I'm talking like, over 24 hours. Um, when the communication level is typically, much higher. It's part of the ADHD as well. Like, and being an empath, we see patterns, and when the patterns are deviated from, we assume there's something wrong, and that's where my brain goes. And sometimes it can be to this person is like laying dead in a ditch, or this person has decided they don't want to speak to me ever again, or they've just forgotten about me entirely. I discovered I have a fear of being forgotten. And I don't know exactly where that comes from, but corrective emotional experiences. Um, he has provided more than one of those already, and so it's weird to be dating someone who is healthy enough to see your traumas and say, it's okay. I understand because I've been there too. And then also actively work to try to make sure you feel okay about them. It's wild. So, the whole point really of this episode was navigating um, dating as someone who does talk, right? I don't know what this podcast will look like in 6 months. I don't know what it'll look like in 6 weeks. Some of, like I mentioned, some of the things will change because of this, because of the respect that I have for him. But my my coaching and the directions I have taken and the methods I have used have been constantly changing since day one. Some of you don't know, but I used to go by a just a dom name on my very first podcast, and even in my coaching, I went under a dom name, and then I changed it to my name for a while, but um, you can like I'll have to post some on Facebook sometimes, just the different iterations of what my coaching has looked like, even visually. Like my colors changed as I started healing and softening. And so I don't know where this podcast will go, and I don't know if dating him really affects it or not. Um, One of the other reasons that I took a pause, which I didn't really put out there because well, I mean it's just I know that a lot of my viewers are males. And I know that they enjoy hearing about me. The more detailed and dirty I can get, the better. I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. Now I have friends. My roommate listens to every podcast that I put out the morning that it comes out. And I know there are other people that listen that are not, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, maybe that aren't jacking off to me in my podcast because that has happened. I know it has because I've been told. Um, so there might be less of that kind of content, but there might have been less of that kind of content anyways because it was starting to get to me a little bit. I um I don't want to be just that. Like I want to be entertaining and I want to tell you stories about um my life and my sex life to normalize sex so that there are less shameful feelings around sex, right? That is the purpose, not necessarily to share my entire life, but to normalize sex. And so who knows where it would have gone. I have always wanted to have a much more stronger female audience than male, and it's figuring out how to hook the girls, right? Um, and that's not to say that I don't want male listeners. It's just that I am a woman. I do have my woman's group, and part of one of my big changes was because I saw the need for women to feel okay about their desires, just in general. And so I would love to have a larger female audience. And so this was kind of the catalyst for figuring out how to navigate that. And so be patient with me. There will still be high and hornies. There will still be, I've got my roommate back on the schedule to come back and talk about the process of her, finding a friends with benefits. And our friend Charity is going to join us with that one and that one, hopefully. And I've got sex shop stories planned coming up soon. And so there will still be that content. It just might not be so specifically about me. Although I do have a lot of stuff to tell you guys about Mr. and our um intimate moments. It's funny because my entire life men have said, "Oh, you just need the right man." I was like, well, they were right. And so I will be giving you guys the details on that, what that means at some point. Um, I forgot to mention it at the top of the episode, but this episode is brought to you by After Dark Playgrounds here in Pensacola, Florida. They are a very cool, very sleek, very modern, very sexy, kinky Airbnb here in Pensacola, Florida. You can rent them by the night. They do have there's ways to do special events where you can maybe book just the day. They have a lot of options. They've got I want to say it's like 6 or 7 different rooms. It's been a while since I've talked about them on my podcast, so I can't remember the exact number of rooms. There's also 2 bathrooms. There's a beautiful kitchen. There's a lounge living room area. The TVs are hooked up to iPads, so you can stream all sorts of fun stuff on the TVs if you want. There are 2 bedrooms, there's swings, there's massage tables and BDSM gear. It's fantastic. Please go see them. The information is up on the screen somewhere right now. Um, as for me, I am Lauren. If you're just now learning that, I guess that's okay. I'm Lauren. Nice to meet you. I hope this isn't the first episode you've watched, but if it is, welcome. I am a sex, love, and intimacy coach. And I have started taking new clients again. I paused on that too. I didn't have any clients in December. Um, I am taking new clients. If you don't know what a sex, love, and intimacy coach does, think something like talk therapy, but as it relates to sex, love, and intimacy with you or someone else. And the range of what that can be is almost limitless. There are some things that I don't know that I might refer you out to someone about. But I've had all sorts of clients I've had some that were just working through a breakup. They were trying to close up past wounds. I've had people who were working out the kinks that they liked or didn't like. I've had people who were trying to get ready for a new relationship and needed to tiptoe back into the dating scene. So that it's not always just about sex, okay? And the intimacy can be with you or someone else. The love can be with you or someone else. It doesn't have to be about sex. It is so much more than most people know that it is. And part of my I think just campaign for my coaching this year is going to be spreading awareness of what we can actually do, because so much is assumed about me based on the fact that I'm a sex coach. So, having said that, you can find me online. I've also got so you can find me online. I have my Facebook profile. I've got a page just for my coaching. There is a page for my podcast that I don't really use anymore because nobody really interacted with it. So maybe some other time in the future. I also have a Facebook group called the Venus and Vixen Academy. It is a group for just women. You are free to come and join. There are some membership questions. Please answer them. That is just so that I can make sure that everyone is safe, that there are no bots coming in or anybody trying to pretend to be somebody that they are not. It is an open forum to talk about sex in a safe and respectful manner. Come join us if you would like to. Otherwise, I'm also on Instagram. I do have a TikTok that I haven't posted to in a while. You're welcome to follow my public profile if you want. Um, you know, that's me. If you have any questions about what I do or what I can do, feel free to inbox me. But just know that if you are rude, I will not actually be rude back, but I will make you feel bad about yourself. So be sweet. I'm excited to be back here with you guys. I did miss it. I missed it a lot. And I got so excited about, him looking at the podcast topics, being like, yeah, this looks great. Um, and not having any issues with what I was going to talk about, that I came right home from my date and turned on the camera. Also, because I already had on makeup and my hair was straight. Don't let me lie to you. This was also convenient for me. But So, next week, let's see what I have on the schedule. Oh, next week is sex with someone new. That's where you get to learn some of the fun stuff. But I kind of want to talk about like showing your body to someone new, figuring out physical mechanics, um, likes and dislikes, and if they match up and they don't, and what you do if they don't. So that's a few of the things that I have written down for next week. So be sure to tune in. My elevation is wearing off. So I think it's time. Well, number one for snack. It's time for a snack. And then I am going to put myself to bed. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you being patient with me during my break. And I hope that it just gets better. As always, if you have any show ideas too, please feel free to inbox me. If you have anything you want to hear about, especially if it is something scientific. I do love the science part of sex. I do. Okay. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.